Or if it wasn't a big thing, and it is a big thing for most of us, then it's a smaller thing. I have this poem I read sometimes called Ordinary Heartbreak. She climbs easily on the box and seats her above the swivel chair at adult height, crosses her legs, left ankle over right, smooths the plastic apron over her lap while the beautician lifts her ponytail and laughs. This is coarse as a horse's tail. And then, as if that's all there is to say, the woman at once whacks off and tosses its foot and a half into the trash. And the little girl who didn't want her hair cut, but long ago learned successfully how not to say what it is she wants, who at even this minute cannot quite grasp her shock and grief, is getting her hair cut. For convenience, her mother put it. The long waves gone that had been evidence at night when loosened from their clasp, she might be secretly a princess. Rather than cry out, she grips her own wrist and looks to her mother in the mirror, but her mother is too polite or too reserved or too indifferent to defend the girl. So the girl herself takes up indifference, while the pain follows a channel to a hidden place, almost unknown to her, convinced as she is that her own emotions are not the ones her life depends on. She shifts her gaze from the mother's face back to the haircut now so steadily as if this short-haired child she sees were someone else. And so there are the big losses that we have, but also there are just 1,000 ways in our education system or our family where we lose ourselves and we want to find our way back. And to find our way back requires that we learn how to touch the measure of sorrows that's given to us. How have we touched this? How have you touched whatever has been your measure of difficulty? With aversion or denial or fear or addiction, things to kind of cover it over? Or with compassion, because it's your human lot. It's part of the deal of incarnation, to have a certain measure of it. It's part of the Buddha's illumination. There is suffering and beauty, and it's the way that it is. But we not only carry our own trauma and history and pain, but we also carry that of the world. The conflicts in Darfur and places in Africa and Afghanistan and, the continuing injustice and racism that we see around the world and in our own society. In a third world slum, a mother cradles a whimpering infant in her arms. The child has diarrhea, the result of unclean water, and is severely hydrated. She will probably die within hours since the parents have no money for medical care. 3 older children, pale and thin, huddle together in the corner of their small shack. Several kilometers away at the seaport, a new shipment of military transport trucks and weapons is being unloaded onto the docks. And we know this. We spend more as a nation and as a global society on weapons than we do on food for our children. And everybody carries this. We carry this stuff. We carry our prison system, 2.5 million people in prisons that have become the default mental hospital of our culture. It is. Imagine needing a mental hospital anyway and then being thrown into a prison. But that's what's happened. So here it is. Now, how do we hold all this? As human beings, how can we not be deeply touched? Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, great Tibetan Lama, talks about it this way. He says, if you search for the awakened heart, if you put your hand through your ribcage to feel for it, you feel sore and soft, and if you open your eyes to the rest of the world, you feel a kind of sadness that doesn't come from being mistreated. You don't feel sad because someone insulted you or you're impoverished. Rather, this experience of sadness is unconditioned. It occurs because your heart is completely open and exposed. And yet it is this open and tender heart, and only this, that has the power to heal this human world. So, if we are to awaken, we have to find a way to bow to this mystery of incarnation with its unspeakable beauty and its great tragedy and all the stuff in between. Otherwise you can't really see it clearly, you can't live wisely. And compassion is the gift that allows us to do this. As the Sufis say, overcome any bitterness because you are not up to the magnitude of the pain that was entrusted to you. Like the mother of the world who holds the pain of the world in her heart, each of us is part of her heart, and therefore each is endowed with a certain measure of cosmic pain. You are called upon to meet this in compassion instead of self-pity. Instead of saying, oh, poor me, you might say that, but actually it's poor us, because it's everybody.